I asked Warren Buffett, I said, what made you the wealthiest man in the world? And he smiled and he said, 3 things. I come from a very poor background, and we had no money for food at times, quite literally, and it was rough. So I wanted to make sure money wasn't an issue for my future family. So I figured out how to make money, and I figured when I was 23, I figured how to make $1 million in a year. I went from 38,000 to $1 million, and you don't do that by some new strategy. It was a psychological shift as well as a strategy shift.
Right.
But then I made the same amount of money for 7 straight years, even though I built a dozen more companies, I helped more people than ever. But it was like unconsciously, well, you want more than $1 million? What are you greedy? I finally decided, listen, if I can make 38,000 to $1 million, it's not about money, it's like growth. So I went, I want to make $3 million, but I want to make more of it while I sleep. But then I really began to realize it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's really your capacity to take your creativity and stop trading time for money. It's the worst trade in the world. Everybody's a financial trader. Yeah. They don't realize they're a trader. They're trading time, and you can't get more time. So, well, the first thing you want to teach anybody, a child, a kid, anybody is, I asked Warren Buffett, I said, what made you the wealthiest man in the world? And he smiled and he said, 3 things. He said, living in America, great opportunities, having good genes, so I lived a long time, and he said the last thing is compounded interest. And we all know about compound interest, but I give the example of the book of this guy, Theodore Johnson, worked for UPS, never made more than $14,000 in income in his entire life in a year. And in old age, he was worth $70 million. And how did he do it? All he did was he took a percentage of his income. His percentage was 20%. Now his family said, we can't save any money. But he met a friend who said, if you pretend there's a tax, and the tax just took the money away from you, and you never see it, the money just comes out of your account and goes in an investment account, you'll be financially free. So he was disciplined, he didn't look at it, it happened. $70 million by compounding. So people's mistake is, and kids don't know this, adults don't know this, that you won't earn your way there, but you can compound your way there. Yeah. What I want to do is say, where do you put that money? The second trick is you really have to understand where you're going to get hurt, because the fees are just destroy people. 96% of all mutual funds never match the market. I mean, they never beat the market. But look, the statistics, Warren Buffett taught me this. He said, Ray Dalio told me this. David Swenson, who took Yale from $1 billion to $24 billion in 2 decades. These are people telling me this.
Right.
Nobody beats the market except a couple of unicorns that nobody has access to. And I said, I didn't say you're not one of them, but I said, here's the truth. 96% of mutual funds don't match the market. That means 4% succeed. Now, what are your chances of picking the right mutual fund? People don't know what they're doing. They put their money in a 401k, they pick a mutual fund not knowing what it is. Right. If you try to get a mutual fund, you got the 4% chance of winning. So what I show people is not only do you not get the result, thinking logically, if I hire someone else to do it, they'll do better than me. But in addition, you pay around 2,000% more than it's worth, meaning you get the same exact product, the same stocks. If you own the index, right? You own a piece of all of America's best companies, say the Vanguard 500 index, 500 top companies. That costs 0.17%, like less than 0.2% versus the average mutual fund is 3.17.
Incredible.
So
compounded over time.
And it's highway robbery. Where in the world would you pay $2,000% more for the same exact product? You can only do it because the financial industry makes things so opaque, so convoluted, and people feel overwhelmed.
And hard to understand.
Very understand. That's why I try to come in here and go, look, time to become the chess player, not the chess piece. Let me teach you so you understand what's going on. It's not that complex. They use all these big words, but when you know what's going on, you don't get screwed, and more importantly, you take advantage of the system instead of letting the system take advantage of you.
Yeah.
I have always looked for people that were playing the game at a different level than I am, and or knew the road ahead. I always tell people, anticipation is power. So my mentors have been people over the year, different people. My earliest mentor was a man named Jim Rohn. He was a personal development speaker, just touched my life. Sir John Templeton is probably one of the greatest investors in history. People don't know his name. He started out with nothing, and he decided that he wanted to understand wealth, and so he saved $10,000, a huge amount of money in those days. And when Hitler invaded Poland, he developed a belief. His belief was, you make your money in times of maximum pessimism. Like if you were around in 2008-9, you remember what it was like, right? You could have bought, the Sands in Las Vegas. You could have bought their stock for $2.28. Today it's $67. It's a 3,000% return. So people in those times, he understood that, and so what he did was, and everybody thought the world was going to end, he took $10,000, he bought every stock on the New York Stock Exchange that was $1 or less, including companies everybody thought were going bankrupt. But when things are bad, people think it's going to be bad forever. When things are good, they think it's going to be good forever, and they're always wrong. Life's cyclical. So there's a season for everything. So once we got through World War II and a few years later, guess what? Those same stocks made him a billionaire. So when I asked him, I said, what's the secret to wealth? His response really touched me. He goes, you know it, you teach it. I said, what's that? He said, gratitude. And I said, why do you say that? He said, because if you got $1 billion and every day you live pissed off and frustrated, the quality of your life is called pissed off and frustrated.
Right.
But if you have nothing, but you're euphorically grateful for whatever you have, you're the richest person that you're going to know. He said, so it doesn't matter how much money you got if you don't have gratitude. So I do the same thing, by the way. I have a process I call priming, where I get up every morning, I do mine in the morning, and it just radical change to my body, kind of alter my state. And then I do 10 minutes, I never miss, and my first 3.5 minutes is what I'm really grateful for. And I make myself think of at least one of those three that's something really simplistic, instead of something giant, the wind in my face, the look in one of my kids' eyes, something of that nature. And then I do 3 minutes of strength and healing, and I do 3 minutes of what I'm going to create my world. And I do that for a minimum of 10 minutes every day, because I believe you have to condition it. You don't just hope that stuff shows up. And then I started reading and feeding my mind, and then I developed this little system, and the system is really simple. And I tell people now, as I say, number one, every single day, you got to feed and strengthen your mind. Until you do that, you're always going to be in fear. Because fear is automatic. The human brain is designed for survival. It's not designed for success. Your brain is not designed to make you happy. That's your job. Right. And the only way you're going to do it is if you feed your mind, because otherwise, weeds grow automatically. My coach, my mentor, Jay Robbins, told me, he said, Tony, every day you got to stand guard at the door of your mind. You got to watch what's going in, because if you're not careful, stuff will go in.
Right.
So every day I decided, I used to go to the library, because there's no place to go. And I read biographies, I read people's lives, and it would make me go, wait a second, as bad as I think it is, the greatest people in the world had it worse.
Sure.
So there's something here. So you feed your mind. Jim Rohn used to say to me, skip a meal, but don't skip reading. He said, read 30 minutes a day. I don't give a damn what it is.
Wow.
And today, I don't mean internet crap. I mean, read something, a biography, read something that's a strategy, read something that's going to change your life. And the second thing I tell people is, feeding your mind's great, but you've got to also strengthen your body. And you do that as an athlete naturally. I learned to do that because fear is physical, right? You know where you feel it. And if you go work out, if you go lift, if you go run, even if you're out of shape, you just go for an intense walk, that experience alone changes your life. Every day of my life, the first thing I do before I do my priming, if I'm at one of my homes, I jump in some hot water for fun, and then I jump in freezing water. And I have, a river, at one of my homes in the valley, and I've got cold plunges everywhere else. So I go in 57-degree water, boom. And what it does is, it's teaching my brain. I tell my brain what to do, and it does it. It doesn't feel like it, doesn't want to do it, and every cell in your body is alive, right? So it doesn't have to be 2 hours with something. It can be something you do for 30 seconds, but it's training your body to be strong, because a strong body gets a strong mind, and vice versa.
Yeah.
The third thing I tell people is find a role model. It seems impossible until you see somebody who's done it. So, Ray Dalio is one of the greatest investors in history. The guy was a caddy, right? His dad was a jazz musician, his mom was a homemaker. He's worth $14 billion. And when you start seeing that somebody else can do it, and you see they really did, you start to believe, you start to get certainty. And then the fourth thing I tell people is it's massive action and constantly change your approach. And then it's find somebody worse off than you are and help them. Because when you do that, it gets you out of yourself.